Lindsay Marquez, and I will be talking about why women should be allowed to have an abortion. So, first of all, can you imagine somebody else making life changing decisions for you? This is something that many women do face, unfortunately. Pregnancies happen, and sometimes by accident, and sometimes women are not able to afford the child, and so they think the best thing for the child would be to have an abortion. But there's many men in Congress trying to stop women from having abortions. They're not allowing women to make their own choices. So women didn't always have rights. It wasn't until 1992 when the 19th Amendment was added to the Constitution, which gave women the right to vote. And a few years back, in 1970, there was a court case known as Roe versus Wade. It was a lawsuit filed against Henry Wade by Jane Roe. And this is all according to OGs.org, which is a website which gives you some information about court cases that have happened. And so there was a law in Texas that made abortions illegal unless the doctor approved. And the doctor only approved unless it was life threatening. So if the woman didn't have any complications during her pregnancy, then the woman was not allowed to have an abortion. And or so the so there's this thing called the due process clause, which protects individuals from the state law, meaning life, liberty, and property cannot be taken away from a person unless they had a fair trial. So the court argued that women do have the right to choose whether they want to have an abortion, and the state cannot get involved, at least during the first trimester of the pregnancy. By the final trimester, the state may interfere and forbid unless the mother's life is in danger and it's life threatening. So, at some point, many women and girls will conceive, and I think it's best for them that they know that they have choices and that they're comfortable with the choices they end up making, and that men should be able to understand the decisions these women are making as well as support them and not judge them based on what they plan to do with their body. And so, since women are their own person, I think they should be allowed to make their own decisions, especially if it involves their body. Um, so, I will be going over how there's a few states that have banned abortions and and how some women are also afraid to have an abortion just because there are myths about women that do end up getting an abortion, as well as we want to make sure that women are protected regardless of the choices they make. So there are some states where women are not allowed to have an abortion after a small window has passed. And as I mentioned before, the women that do get an abortion end up having a bad reputation. And so one of the first problems that we have is that men in Congress have been working to pass bills that don't allow women to have an abortion. Um, so far, there have been 19 states, including Alabama, Louisiana, Ohio, where women are not allowed to have an abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy. And I find it very inconvenient for women because most of the time these women do not know for sure that they are pregnant until it's been about a month or 6 weeks. And so by the time they know for sure they are pregnant, it might be too late for them to have an abortion. Um, and personally, I would never get an abortion, and I know there's many women that wouldn't get an abortion as well, no matter the circumstance. But we also have to realize that there's other women that have different lifestyles, problems, and we should all support one another. We should allow these women to we should still allow them to have a choice on whether they want to have a child or not. And it's not just that, but it's we don't, like I mentioned before, we don't know their financial um problems, how much they're making if they're working. And so at the end of the day, it is that woman that's going to have to take care of the baby, pay for child care, just change their life for that one child. And us, like the other people that don't even know the woman, are not going to be helping her out in any way. So she should be allowed to make her own choices. Um, Also, I think banning abortions after 6 weeks is not a good idea. I think women should be given at least 6 months. Also, because they might want to think their decision through. So 6 months should be a good enough time to decide whether they want to continue with the child, like allow them to save money, or if they're struggling, they can decide, oh, you know what, like, no, I can't take care of this baby. And this is all according to New York Times, which was written by Rebecca Kay in 2019 about the 9 states that have passed a bill that makes abortions illegal. And the second problem is that there is a bad stigma around women who have abortions. Women are judged when they get abortions. Sometimes they are looked down upon, and even family members, friends, want to stop all communications with them because they believe that the choices the woman is making is not a good one. And there's myths that these women are careless, selfish, they don't know what they're doing, they're not making the right choice. And sometimes if you go to a clinic like Planned Parenthood, in some places there are actually people outside protesting, saying bad things about women who want to have abortions. And like I mentioned before, we don't know their life story. Maybe they already have too many kids and they can't afford another one. Or maybe she was raped and having this baby will cause more mental illnesses. So we do have to bring different perspectives into this and realize that everybody has a reason for doing what they're going to do. And we shouldn't judge these women based on the choices they make. So what do these two problems cause? Well, first, it causes women to have unwanted pregnancies, which can lead to the women struggling financially. And some women might want to move to another state where it might be legal for them to have an abortion, which can also cause them to spend a lot of money on like the airplane ticket, finding a place to stay for a while, and leaving their job for like a few weeks. And according to Prospect.org, which was written by Baptized in 2015, many pregnant young women have committed suicide, about 57%, and these girls range from age 10 to 19. And it has also caused women to find other ways to terminate their pregnancy without the doctor's help, which is very unsafe because these women are doing things like taking drugs, and they don't know the exact dose, so sometimes they might end up killing themselves as well. And there's this one drug that they take known as misoprostol, which is not very safe. And they also take like bleach, they kick their bonds up, they do very dangerous things to do to get rid of the child. And this can also this can cause the women health issues. And if authorities find out, the woman can end up going to jail because the abortions are illegal, and it is considered taking the life of a person. And then I'm so sorry. Okay. And then the second cause is that once with all these myths going on about these women that have abortions, it causes them to feel lonely during this process. They might not want to talk to other people that they're considering getting rid of their child, and they might be too ashamed to ask for advice and support. And after they get it over with, they'll feel very shameful. So a few solutions to these problems would be: first, one of the best solutions is to protest against the bills being passed that don't allow women to have abortions. Because, we should be reminding people that, nobody knows what this woman is going through. Like I have mentioned before, only she knows for sure if she's able to raise the baby. And so we should support that. Like all of us should just get together, donate, protest, because they have million reasons for having an abortion. And we should also support programs like Planned Parenthood because they do help a lot of women with these issues. And another solution is that we need to make abortion a more positive thing. Like it can be a little heartbreaking, but the person doing the abortion is already going through a lot, and we don't want to make them feel worse. So maybe we can congratulate them for being able to go through such a difficult process, and making difficult choices. And overall, women should be allowed to make their own choices without judgment. We don't know what they're going through, and maybe the baby is not something they can take care of, and we have to respect that because there's a lot of orphanages, yes, but there's also a lot of children being mistreated there. So sometimes the best choice is to get an abortion. We have to show respect to young girls and women and allow them to make their own choices. Abortion is a very controversial topic, and there's always going to be people against it, which in a religious way, it's understandable. But like I mentioned, sometimes you do not even know the person getting the abortion, so why get into their lives? If you are so against abortions, don't have an abortion yourself. But let these other women that are struggling, because we don't know what they're going through, let them have their own abortions. Let them make their own choice. And men who do not have to carry a baby in their body for 9 months should not be making laws that stop women from having abortions. Abortions are safe ways to end pregnancies if they are done by a professional, and people are always going to have different opinions. So if you're going to have one, make sure you get the right help regardless of people's opinions. Thank you.